Hello, my name is Anthony Wall. This is a video to the Wethersfield Town Council and to the Wethersfield Board of Education and Intercities, Connecticut. Wethersfield's Police Chief, Chief Cintron, and his extended family, and a police chief years ago is involved with predicate acts with the house on my street. Officers forging and switching names through time. They've been hiding this in the background. They've been directed to come to my house switching names. Now they called about 4 or 5 months ago with an officer then who switched his names too and I called back from the Wethersfield town offices. No, I called back the Wethersfield Police Department and they said they only have one officer named Sullivan. It wasn't a male. It was a male who called me. So they're playing these games. They also have a Lena's Pizza on Park Street that has involvements with them with sequence shifts, identity thefts, and frauds. Switching names also, other ways, with people involved, intercities, on-off campuses with them with predicate acts. They also have the attorney of the Chief Cintron, Attorney Bayard, is involved with some Russian families, or a Peruta family, IES, more than one family of their family, and they said they're Russian. They're involved with some fire department people involved with identity thefts and frauds against me. People I don't know at all, people that I only know because they sought me out to make confessions. In brief instances, for example, regarding being Russian, there were also doctors from Hartford Hospital, ones with badges, and military with badges, that are also involved with doctors of fabricating conversations with me, like a Leahy family, that also has their kids through time involved with various natures of drugs and medicines crimes, which are also recorded because they have fake conversations, they're forging names, switching names, roles. So I can't get a response because they also have a whole bunch of people from the New Britain Superior Court personally criminally involved with various natures of federal crimes with this Dr. Leahy and other foreign and domestic doctors and nurses involved with the people who answer the phones for Wethersfield Police through time. The Smith families involved with them with untimely deaths on ecstasy and their roles with selling it. And on the corner of Carriage Hill Drive and Fair Lane, yelling over to me, Jamie Smith, about if I wanted to do ecstasy with them late at night. They were timing when I walk home, apparently, and observably, because in other words, these are also people. So these are also people with the Wethersfield town offices with some of the names I don't know the names of that are involved with. There's a Judge Killian involved with one of the people involved with the drugs and untimely deaths. They also have this involved with their roles with the managers at Stop and Shop. Like one of them is the ones Jamie Smith involved with them. Also with the fire department. There's an Inspector Mike. I don't know his name. There was a Mike Kerr. There was a bunch of people with a K-N-E-R, and there are at least two Jerry Kerrs involved with the officer Jerry Miller, who also online recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, has roles with them with predicate acts on the sides of my house and their uses of the neighbors, which they've been lying about and attaching to forced fake words, falsified police reports through time is what is actually recorded. So all this narrative is about, and they have the transition from the last police chief to this one, and maybe one before that too, tied to the same house on my street that they brought up with this officer Sullivan, who's on names of, which has also been extended. There's a Daryl Sullivan, and there are other people with the name Sullivan and O. Sullivan involved with predicate acts with places on Church Street, like a tiki bar and a Lena's Pizza, involved with on-off with houses next to the campuses, intercities that are connected also on Central Connecticut State University, involved with predicate acts with them, also on their business location, forging names, switching names, identity thefts, and frauds. Now, like switching names with two Magdalena. There's a Maggie and a Magdalena, and they exploited that. They also had the roommates of one of the Maggie involved with that, and with the Heather Hansen and her brothers and mother and father. And other houses on Church Street are involved with the houses with the predicate acts over the last months. And it was before that, and I still can't get anything in writing. For years I've been asking for something in writing. They had more involved with the principal child abuser and people involved then and now further with uses of the pictures they took of the kids, including upskirt pictures behind the back from inside the classroom, also shared on Twitter. They have a number of FBI, including former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, his defending capacities in a 2006 district court case involved with them with predicate acts, sequence shifts, identity thefts, and frauds, leading up to, in that case and since, with crimes also with people, and worse than just crimes, with people also on off the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and the locations next to the World Trade Center, which Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals is, in Manhattan. So they presented to the Ninth Circuit right before the World Trade Center attack post-dated documents that had been handed in on time, and they presented them to the court, post-dated from inside the court. So that was proven afterwards. Someone had post-dated the documents from inside the Ninth Circuit Court and presented that to the panel of judges right before the World Trade Center attack. And then the attack happened. That was proven afterwards, and that led up to a 2006 district court case, also with names that were brought up on both sides of them involved with the predicate acts on off CCSU, also involved with switching officers' names, falsified police reports, intercities, because they pretend they use methods like pretending they make mistakes on falsified police reports, switching officer names. And then they don't provide writing, so they leave a whole bunch of adaptable narratives where they could adapt into databases. So obviously, what is recorded, they've been criminally forward influence uses of courts and of police forms since founding, because that was recorded through since founding. It was recorded. So they have worse and cruel and unjust punishment, and they have also made up punishment that is criminally foreign influenced and being and having been employed. They have all the corners on Griswold Street recorded, confessed, and demonstrated and confirmed at various points at times, involved with people with little weird instances of identity thefts and frauds. And harassment, no. Harassment is also recorded a charge used by the male and female judges and prosecutors involved with the sequence shifts and falsified police reports. And in other words, they made people make confessions over the phone, and then they replace what's actually recorded over the phone with falsified, fabricated audio and video transcripts. So we have other police forms. We also have state police and their family members and people associated with them and with the buildings they work. There's a DOV place on the Brown Turnpike involved with Eric Jensen, who's also one of the names involved with the Kurds in the houses on the people associated with houses in my area that I don't know at all and barely know. That they use those instances to pretend other. Those are also people that were involved with predicate acts on my campuses, on and off my campuses that I recorded, and other people are recorded other ways that they hid, and then they cover up. So Attorney Bayard and the police chief are involved with wire crimes, also with the Perutas, also with the public television, and with WTNH, WFSB, and Fox Connecticut News and other print media and other media. They've been roles with falsified police reports, also multi-front with the news media, identity thefts and frauds. Note how uses of black by the law are identity thefts and frauds overtly, but still since founding they call it prejudice. They call it racism because they blame on other things, others themselves, that predicate acts delivery system method that forced slavery, that forced our founding parents to hide their actual roles with challenging the colonial powers, even having to ally with them, still abridged, still breaching method applied. Still, that having been perfected against Native Americans, no. And so there were also people with the name O'Brien, who've been exploiting insights into their family's roles with mayors too. Former Mayor Gold, his family members like a Debbie Gold. There's a Lee Gold. I never even see what he looks like in real life. I wouldn't recognize him. Involved, sequence shifts, little tricks where they put fake things into databases and they make the person and make it look like it's true, where they're using lies as truths. They even use, in other words, it's to say that racism caused slavery is using a truth as a lie. It's not even a truth. A breaching method had entrenched slavery before our founding parents were born. It had entrenched the pathology of homes from here to Russia. The scale of infrastructure, the scale of streets, the tactically denatured suburban nature, and urban that was set up to stack people. And they slowly lifted us into, like, for example, Hartford, Connecticut is a suburban/urban city. All the houses were designed then to become 2 families, 3 family. So when they set it up, in other words, our American narratives have never been free. You have people making allegations, starting fights with people they don't even know. They're exploiting all exceptions and exception nature. We have criminally foreign influence readings of statutes that they are consciously having been exploiting. Like, for example, giving the benefit of the doubt to someone because of their job or whatever. In other words, they have statutes to say, "I'll give the benefit of the doubt to this person." They don't mean that outside of courts. They don't mean, outside of. In other words, they're adding things to the law. They're self-valuing the laws, being and having been read through criminally foreign influence and through delusions. So they have delusions also interbranch originally and still. And they've been faking conversations with other people to pull it off. They've been using their kids. They have generations of a Leahy family attaching other people's kids to fake conversations, involved with them with aggression and with fake care simultaneously, multi-front, on and off campuses, online, and interbranch, and worse, off the records. So they have they have other Russian lady involved with Hartford Hospital, involved with the military families, involved with drugs and medicines crimes with this Leahy family, and with the people associated with the Smith family, on and off the town offices, involved with assaults against me. And with falsified police reports rules. Little kid too. Little ragamop kid that you could tell has some kind of a family in the Justice Department associated with disgusting little farting kid. Walked by me and farted one time in the Wethersfield Police Department, associated with the mother of the Jamie Smith involved with this. I don't know if they still live there. But these are people with the fire department too. There's a Dave Smith. And there were a whole bunch of boyfriends of hers, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with them. Now they have some kinds of ways where they have the police forms in the military involved with the private investigators of WFSB in Rocky Hill, with the locations next to them. And the corner of Route 3, I believe that's Elm Street in Rocky Hill. With the Exxon gas station is tied to a Ray Cololo, who was one of the Cololos involved with the Phil Cololo that was brought up by the officers forging names and switching names, making confessions over the phone with the Wethersfield town officers in the police department. So there's a guy named Dingleberry and there's a guy named Dewberry, and how they have similar names. One of those guys is involved with that kid who farted, who then was in the hospital when they forced me there for mental evaluation, because I had to force someone to call the cops so I could catch them, because that's what they do. They put everyone around people to fake words, including with their parents, since I was a kid, and they don't they offensively don't provide writing while they're pretending other and having pretended other. If you call lawyers, they also have the lawyers making allegations, making things up, and with physical delusions. A Trantolo and Trantolo, also per his roles with the various networks and their private security and the agencies, criminally foreign influence. They have state police, their family members also involved with the people. Now, this is also all kinds of ways Central Connecticut State University has ties to the houses and the names that were brought up with the uses of the corners. There's a Joshua Stryker and there's a Joshua Julian also involved with predicate acts in my area. I never saw them in my area in my life. Per the confessions of others, they're involved with identity thefts and frauds also. Also with the Facebook pages of the schools, including with this Joshua Julian, further involved with sexual and medical and judicial crimes with kids and with child sex offenders. Proven, since before that was proven. Now these are the people also involved with the extended family members and the daughter of the Wethersfield Police Chief Centron, involved with identity thefts and frauds with them, intercities through time. They also confessed and recorded all along Route 3, our houses and our businesses with people that had instances where they made positive negative treatments that were insidiously in the form of identity thefts and frauds. Not where it's not legal, pretended only not legal, but where it's illegal. See, but we were not being able to get to this because we're not having people follow mandated law as the law. And more they're needing to hide this and remote uses of it. So they have an Ian as the person who typed on Twitter who said he was FBI. Right in the context where other people put a picture up of one of the girls involved with the upskirts, little girls. They play these games on and off campuses. They have kids in the same grades. In the same grade, they have different teachers. So they make instances where the person is not going to be able to respond because they don't know the other person. And they pretend passions and emotions like a Debbie Gold did years ago, as a means to pretend that she had conversation with me before that, or that I had been in a location with her before that. That never was. These are also people through time involved with federal criminals before they got caught. Federal criminals that were blaming other people, others themselves for what they were doing, like involved with our pension thefts and stuff like that. They also have people involved with unions because they have remote uses of people's identities with positive and negative treatments that are naive, criminal and seditious natures of positive and negative treatments simultaneously. So, Wethersfield Town Council, please make sure I'm responded to and you stop hiding this from the Wethersfield parents and you get the ones that use my name in the background on paper with WFSB that had a community meeting about me that was also being and having been employed to hide what I caught them doing over the phones and on off campuses and with the untimely deaths relevant and with other natures of crime and the recorded uses of juxtaposed natures of crimes for their uses of types of experts who respond to types of crimes as knaves. Pretending passions and emotions, they're furthering what they're pretending to be against. For example, even sexual exploitation of little boys and girls, and of men and women. That's why they have rape threats and things like New Britain Superior Court made a rape threat against me with one of the accounts. I believe one of the ones with the name KNER. Then all of a sudden they had more New Britain Superior Court Facebook pages. Now these are people also with the Facebook pages of Trinity College and of CCSU. With the same one. There's a Charlie Bose. I also don't know. I never saw him on my campus in my life. If I saw, I never saw him, or I never had a class with him. Never saw him around the campus. And I never knew he had a sister. She was pretending like she knew me years ago. Who was one of the ones involved with the houses on my street with the Chris Walters, and people with the Old Town Cafe involved with predicate acts and with confessions about their dirty roles with uses of cocaine and the difference between their uses of cocaine and marijuana. See, because they have the types of experts to the types of drugs even involved with their evidence racketeering employed to keep everyone roles as tools hiding their life aggressions. So they're making treatments of issues that where they're leaving out things that you can't leave out. So what is simultaneous is increasingly critically valued and that is increasingly forbid the integrity of locations, increasingly incapable of dealing with what is simultaneous, because it has revelations that show answers, that show people have been using worse than criminally incompetent delusions wrought, time treatments, fact treatments, and glorifying it. So, also they have Confederate flag, KKK themed in black and white female judges, or they have black and white female judges involved with the KKK Confederate flag theme crimes. Also of military police, black and white, forging names, switching names on falsified police reports, with the male-female judges preventing police reports in the background, speaking things anyways, hiding things, and with physical delusions, and with criminally foreign influence premises sequence treatments. Now there is also a guy who looks just like James Comey involved with former director of the FBI Robert Luskin in his defendant capacities as one of the ones involved with the Connecticut cases and names with the courts and police forms criminally involved. With the overt criminal enterprises, there are a number of people with the name Joey Quest who also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with Fred Grisey and a whole bunch of friends of his involved with on all sides of the Wethersfield High School, involved with drugs and medicine crimes, also with doctors like a Dingleberry or a Dewberry that Anthony Agman and others recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, confirmed. Also with these two Mendez police involved on and off Fox Connecticut News in that corner right outside where they work. Also with the Domain family with predicate acts and with identity thefts and frauds. Also with the buildings near there. There are people that associated with Allegro's Cafe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know them personally. I never had a conversation with the one who's living, the son of the guy. The guy was a nice guy. I never had a conversation with him either. Just used to cook eggs at Allegro's Cafe. But these are houses on Two Rod Highway. There are a number of houses, like a Sal Civiello is also involved with some of the people with the corner involved on my street, a corner of Fairlane Drive and Carriage Hill Drive, with people associated with a Detective Dillon and a guy who said he was his partner years ago to two English speech class teachers I had in high school, who I never had a personal conversation with. They were also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, confirmed, involved with predicate acts, with people that were using my name behind my back with them. Criminally foreign influence, delusions wrought, who had roles with drugs, crimes, and other stuff on all sides of the high school. And confessions when I'm walking around corner, they would time thing. They would use corners outside of school, inside of school. They use corners to time things, so time statements that criminally, with their offensive evidence reception racketeering, offensive identity reception racketeering, worse than racketeering, worse than war crimes. Originally still, science never spoke for Hartford, Connecticut, Wethersfield, Connecticut, let alone for New York City. You can't speak for American history if you don't explain why and how George Washington had to come to Wethersfield, Connecticut to secure the means, to secure the help of the French general, to become a country, still a broken country like the rest of the countries, forced to entertain roles with slavery, or not to be a country. They have criminally foreign influenced groups, and all together, then they have that against increasingly self-valued impositions upon individuals. So we need to have a response real fast for the schools, because if you call up the schools, they hid with all the confessions. The guy called my house back a bunch of times. The principal child abuser, before it was caught, they replaced that with fabricated audio and video transcripts. They did that also online. These are also people on and off Trinity College who attached me to a fake writing of a letter. Even as people involved on and off Central Connecticut State University, They put me fake ties to people that on campus I never saw on campus one time in my life. They hid that and how an Eric Burgess and an Amy or Emily that works with and is associated with Hartford court judges and has houses next to a school on Park Street at the corner of Park Street and New Park Avenue, is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with Eric Burgess involved on and off fire departments, on and off schools, with drugs and other schools too, with drugs and medicines crimes, also with doctors, also with foreign families, also with judges, personally criminally involved with them, and with officers forging and switching names. One with the officer Hunter, who's also involved on and off Central Connecticut State University in Hartford locations, like around the corner from where the former director of the FBI's lawyer used to work, Robert Luskin's lawyer, Robert Chevrolet, off Farmington Avenue, which is down the street from around the corner and down the street from the state capitol. So follow mandated law for them, get them onto paper regarding their high crimes, and then pretending other. Get them from the names forging and switching. A number of police came to my house before and confessed, demonstrated, recorded, confirmed. They made confessions about being directed to switch names over here. So let's get the name of the real Officer McGee too, because these are also people involved with them, with the uses, remote uses of the sense and sensibilities of Native American tribes, and their policing of them privately and intercities, interstates, with the people involved with that name too, McGee. He's got how they have their kids involved with it. It's a whole bunch of ways tied to the people who run the park programs. Part of the programs on and off Millwoods Park is involved with identity thefts and frauds. There's a Jamie Corone and a Kevin Corone. I never had a conversation with them in my life. The quick exceptions are a demonstration of the same thing, and they're relevant because their roles with a whole bunch of people on Central Connecticut State University in New Britain that were involved with identity thefts and frauds and predicate acts on and off the campuses when I went here, where people I never even saw around school pretending to know me with other people, and with a Perone family. There's a Danielle Perone who had a Mark Violet and a Justin Kovinskis, he's one of the ones with the military police, with the forging, there's a military police, I forgot his name right now, a black military police officer, switching names, forging names roles, and falsified police reports roles, drugs and medicines crimes roles, with the people next to the schools, and with the child offenders, even sexual. They have male and female roles with that interbranch, is how they have types of investigators and investigations, and where they're putting fake allegations used and sequence shifts used, and because then they're going to defend their jobs defending against types of things when they're all in collusion. So they still hid the confessions further, and they actually recorded other further bad things and fake good that they were doing on and off the campuses. There's a guy with a red. So there are people tied to a Dan Bonapane and all along the corners of Fox Hill, and that parallels Hangdog Lane and where Two Rod Highway runs into Hangdog Lane, and then it runs into Route 3 going perpendicular to it, and it runs into the Berlin Turnpike before the heart of Hartford. The three spots at the end of the Berlin Turnpike have a whole bunch of names that went out of their way, a whole bunch of different instances, to pretend they knew me. So we're switching names, switching sequences, roles, and uses of that were recorded relevant. So, and that's also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, confirmed, tied to the buildings like the clubs and just the buildings next to the state capitol through time, involved with identity thefts and frauds with them. So respond for them now, please, quick.